This is CoinNewsExtra TV. We are live at Yellow Card, our cryptocurrency exchange here in Lagos State, Nigeria. So we're going to be having a conversations around the impact that Yellow Card is making, most especially looking at their race, the Series C race that they just concluded. So we're going to be having a conversation. So joining us to have this conversation is Lasbury Choma Oludumi, who is the Vice President of Global Operations and Managing Director of the local Nigeria. It's a pleasure to have you, man.
Thank you.
So, how are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm doing well. How about you?
Yeah, we are doing great and we are happy to be here, the hospitality and everything. So, looking at how Yellow Card is operating, making impact, and we see that the raise, the CBC raise that Yellow Card just did. How do you think you're going to, this raise is going to help Yellow Card to expand its operations, most especially across Africa?
Thank you. And once again, thank you for this opportunity. Um, we we at Yellow Card, we have just completed a Series C um, fundraising, and is we actually raised about $33 million, right? And we just completed it some few months ago. This now brings us to a total of $85 million that we have raised as a startup company since 2019, when Yellow Card operation started. This raise was actually led by blockchain.com, and we are also backed by some of the leading venture capitals like Block and Coinbase. If you're conversant with Block and Coinbase, you understand that they are both public traded company listed in the US, and they are over 50 billion in terms of their share capital, right? So they are quite big organizations backing us, especially for this Series C raise. For us, the Series C raise is actually like a reinforcement for the organization. And before the raise and also during the raise, we have already planned what we're going to use these funds to do, and is basically business expansion. Okay, so with this raise, we'll be rolling out new products, and we'll also be looking at the products that we already have in the market and try to ensure that the customers, they actually have value, they get value and good services from us. And so this raise, the first thing we're going to do with this raise is, or rather the first thing this raise is going to do for us is to expand in terms of our market capacity. And it will also help us to attract more human resources. We all know that we can have a good idea, but if we don't have capable resources in terms of human capitals, it will be difficult for us to achieve those targets. We already have, with previous raises that we actually undertook, we actually invested so much in human capital, and we will also continue. We'll look within us and see where we need to engage more hands, and also which of the departments do we need to beef up a little bit. And so this raise will help us do that. Secondly, in terms of market expansion, we already have a list of markets where we intend to move into. So this raise will help us move into those new markets. And another thing that this raise will do for us as an organization is also to roll out new products. We already have a list of products that I've been working on for a while. And this raise will also help us roll out new products to the market to ensure that our customers have the best of service. We also have markets where we already operate in that we think because of the market size, it would be nice to invest more in those markets. An example being Nigeria. Nigeria is quite a big market for us. And we also have decided as an organization to invest a huge part of that funds that we have raised in the Nigerian market, because we know Nigeria is a big market, is an important market for us, and we're happy to invest and keep investing in the market.
Okay, interesting. Let's look at. We know that the issue in Africa is also we are looking at the underbanked or unbanked. So how is your local going to navigate this? Knowing that your local is on ramp and off ramp crypto exchange, how do you kind of going to solve the issue of financial inclusion in general?
Okay, just like you have mentioned, one of let me say missions, right, or our key mission is actually financial inclusion. And you also talked about the underbanks or the unbanks rather. We also have um, a vision to bring these people into the system, right? And in terms of banking and the products we also have rolled out to the market, as long as you have a smartphone, you should be able to benefit from this service, right? So what we need from you is a mobile phone. I think that's the starting point. Then Yellow Card is just there to connect people to the system, right? And we're not just focusing on areas. We're not just focusing on the areas where we have development. We're also going outside the cities, right, to educate people. And you all know that the best thing we can do to our customers is to educate them, because we're talking about innovations here. It's new to everyone. And for us to bring people into the system, we need to first of all educate them and let them know what this innovation is all about. Let them know what the use cases are, and let them also know some of the trends that they might likely see within this space. So what we intend to do, or what we do as an organization, is to focus on education first, right? So if we meet a customer, if we meet a potential customer, we're not just going to say, come and take up our services, or come and patronize us or things like that. We first of all want to educate the person, right? If we educate the customer, or if we educate the customer and the customer ends up not patronizing us or using our products, we're fine, because we've actually achieved some of one item, right? Like our key
Education.
objective, education. So is you're only afraid of what you know, right? And what you don't know, like they say, is your greatest fear. So what we do to ensure this financial inclusion for all is, first of all, to start with education, educate the masses and ensure that you understand what innovation is all about, understand the use cases, and I bet you they would like to try it
Okay.
and use our services.
Yeah, talking about education, we see how important it is. I'm happy you said that even though they don't patronize or make use of your platform, you have already won,
Yes,
because
it's a win
education
for
is a
us.
very good one for this ecosystem to grow, and hopefully in future the person may come back.
Exactly.
So looking at trends, let's look at emerging trends in the crypto space. We see that Yellow Card will focus more on stable coins. How do you see trend? We've seen a lot of, sometimes they are muted on the likes of NFT, different, we talk about DeFi and the rest of them. How do you see the trends about stable coin, and how is Yellow Card going to navigate around it?
Okay. Thank you. That's actually a good question. Um, 2024 has been, to me, I can say it has been a remarkable year for this ecosystem, right? because some of the things we didn't see in 2019, 2020, we're seeing them in 2014. And that also tells us what we're likely going to see in 2025 and going on. One of the big trends that we have witnessed within this ecosystem for 2014 is the use cases of stable coins, right? There's this Chainalysis report. If you look at that report, you can see that stablecoin is doing quite well. According to that report, according to that report, if you look at the transactions done with stable coins and the transaction done through Bitcoin, you can see that there is a huge gap, right? Stable coins, according to that report, transactions on stable coins, according to that report, is about 43%, right? While Bitcoin is around 18, 19%. Yeah, which means that people are now moving from Bitcoin to stable coins, right? Because of the use cases. And some of the factors that have also contributed to this drastic shift is one of them is the volatility we have seen in our local currencies all over Africa, right? So people are now using stablecoin as to store value, right? And people are also using stablecoin as a means of transaction, cross-border transaction, right? So I think that has really, really increased the interest in stablecoin. So 2024, there has been a big shift from Bitcoin and other
Do you think
cryptocurrencies
that will
towards,
continue?
yes, that would actually continue because if you look at the use cases, people are becoming aware of the use cases of stable coins, right? So if you look at, I think there is also, I think there is also a report about sub-Saharan Africa being the highest, where you see the highest use of stable coins, right? According to that analysis and report. And if you look at sub-Saharan Africa, the way we use digital asset is actually different from the rest of the world, where it's all about speculation for them, right? So they are huge in Bitcoin because of the volatility speculations all around Bitcoin and all that. Unlike the sub-Saharan Africa, where we have this instability in our currencies and where it's difficult to actually have cross-border payments, right? And people are using stable coins for cross-border payments. People are using stable coins as a store for value, right? Unlike the rest of the world where they are just speculative, they're just speculating on the digital assets and all that. So I see the use of stable coin increase as the day goes by. Another trend I have also seen, or we have also seen in this ecosystem, is in relation to regulation, right? So we now see African countries coming up with different framework, and we can see Nigeria is always a leader.
Talking about
right?
the regulations,
Yes.
I know it's different by regions.
Yes.
And we see regulations like you were mentioning. Regulation is coming up from different parts of Africa. How do you intend to navigate it, and how do you see the regulations? We are talking about regulation that will not stifle innovation. Having good ideas and trying to carry it out, but regulation is on the way. How do you see regulations, the ones that are available in Nigeria and other parts of Africa, and how is YellowCard navigating around that?
Okay, I think the key thing there is countries are now beginning to regulate this sector, right? I think that's the key factor there. Countries are now beginning to regulate this ecosystem, and within the African continent, there are countries we call our big brothers, and Nigeria is one of those big brothers, right?
Yeah.
And looking at what Nigeria has done, if you remember, we had a guideline like a few years back, and that guideline wasn't implemented until this year, right? Then there is a reason for that implementation this year, because there was a change in leadership in the Securities and Exchange Commission,
Yeah.
right? So the current DG is actually bringing Nigeria to the forefront, right?
Yeah.
As a big brother in the African continent. And the current administration has actually done quite well when it comes to regulation in Nigeria. And immediately the current DG went into office. Few months later, there was the regulatory incubation program, right?
Yeah.
So that shows you that it's all about leadership. And when you see the direction of the leaders, you can actually say, okay, this is where we're heading to. So for the current DG has done spectacularly well, right? Immediately he came into the office. Few months later, there was the regulatory incubation program, which other administrations couldn't do, but he just came into the office and he pulled it out. So it's a good plus for us. And it's also a way of telling the whole world that Nigeria is a big brother when it comes to the African continent. Then talking about regulation and how we navigate it, at Yellow Card, we take regulation so dear to us because we believe there can only be longevity in terms of business if there's regulation. So we don't wait for the regulators to come after us. We go after the regulators because we want to understand and we want to collaborate with the regulators. That has always been our direction. We go after the regulators because we want to collaborate with them, because we want the space to be regulated. Because if the space is regulated, the authorities will be able to know who are the bad eggs, right? And try to send the bad actors out of the market to ensure consumer protection. So we believe so much in regulation. And when beyond Nigeria, we were the first exchange to acquire a VAPS license in Botswana, right? Immediately that framework was released, Yellow Card was the first exchange to actually acquire that license. And for Zambia is another interesting market. And we have actually operated under the sandbox framework under the Bank of Zambia for a while now, more than 2 years, where we operate under their supervision and we collaborate with them in terms of learnings and sharing information, just to help them to build up the regulatory framework. Beyond Zambia, we also work with regulators in markets like Kenya, where we, through the Blockchain Association, we helped to draft the cryptocurrency framework there, regulation, which is currently pending at the House as a bill. Also beyond Kenya, we also worked with the regulator in Rwanda, where we also helped to review their guideline. We also collaborated in Uganda, where we participated in their risk assessment program. And so generally, like I said before, we go after the regulators because we want regulation. And Nigeria is also not an exception. We've actually applied for the regulatory incubation and we're looking forward to that SEC approval. And given that Nigeria is a big market for us, and we have already taken a decision as an organization to invest heavily in Nigeria, so that regulation is quite important to us, and we're hopeful and looking forward to that feedback.
Okay, interesting. Looking at, you're looking at Nigeria as a big market. Yellow Card is looking to go deeper in the market. Let's look at the user experience. We see that one of the challenges, if not the major challenges, when it comes to cryptocurrency platforms or exchanges, is security, and also user interface and experience. So, how is Yellow Card navigating around that, carrying the users along? You have mentioned you educate them, and also how do you keep security?
Okay.
How do you make security top notch in the platform?
Okay. The one thing we need to have at the back of our mind is the intentions of the regulators, which is consumer protection, right? So what the regulation wants to do is to ensure that the consumers are protected. And what we do at the Yellow Card is also to build up our processes and system to ensure that the consumers are not just being protected, but they get value for their money, right? And one of the things we do is for Yellow Card, we have 247 customer support service, right? So if you run a business, if you have a product or services you're selling to the market, I think one thing that is very important is for you to get feedback from your customers. That would help you to look at the product and your services. That would also help you to look at the structures and the systems you have around your offerings, right? So we do have 247 customer support service that we listen to our customers, get their complaint and try to resolve them, right? And the way we have also built our security infrastructure is to ensure that customers trade in a safe and secured environment, right? And at Yellow Card, we don't engage in P2P trading, right? We don't allow individuals to come onto our platform and trade between themselves, no, because of the risk involved, right? For every transaction that happens on our platform, Yellow Card is the counterparty. So you're either buying from Yellow Card or you're selling to Yellow Card. And before we buy from you or before we sell to you, we'll make sure that you go through the KYC process. It's actually an interesting process, right? For every customer. We make sure you go through the KYC process. We make sure we get all the necessary information about you. We also run some checks on you to ensure that you're actually not a bad actor. Because apart from protecting our systems, we also want to protect the market, right? So that process you go through is a way for us to ensure that we are trading with a legitimate person. So that's also a way we're protecting our platform, we're protecting our services. And talking about security, I think we have a top-notch security infrastructure, and the people heading that particular function, they are like best in the world, right? Yes, they're like best in the world. So we take security seriously, and we have engaged the best hands, and we have the best tools to ensure that we protect our customers and we protect our platform.
Okay, let's look at the future here. How do you see the future in general of cryptocurrency blockchain in Africa? I know you mentioned earlier that the Westerners or the rest other part of the world, they depend on speculation about Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Why here in Africa is more like solving a problem, cross-border payment and the rest of them. How do you see the future for Africa when it comes to cryptocurrency, and how is Yellow Card going to navigate to also be relevant in the future?
Okay, two things. If we're looking beyond 2024, the first one is there will still be a continued, or rather, there will be an increase in adoption of stablecoins, right?
Okay.
And consumers or the markets would definitely tend towards stablecoin, as we can see. That's one. I also see additional innovations coming through on stablecoin, which means there'll be more use cases, and there will be more services and products around stablecoin, right? And I can tell you for free, Yellow Card has a list of those innovations, right? We have products and services lined up, just built on stablecoins, right? So it's no longer about buying and selling stablecoins, right? It's about solving real life problems with stablecoin, with blockchain, right? So that's the first one. The second one, um, because of the adoption, I see a number of markets, right, that would also roll out regulatory frameworks in the future, right? Currently, I can tell you a number of countries where they are at the stage where they are drafting the framework, right? So 2025, we're going to see a number of countries that would have or that would roll out regulatory frameworks, licensing regime. So for us, Yellow Card, we're preparing ourselves, right, in different markets to be in a position where we're ready to apply for those licenses, right?
Interesting.
So, and in terms of, okay, you also asked how does Yellow Card fit in? The first one, adoption of stablecoin. Like I said, we have a whole lot of products lined up that we're yet to roll out,
Okay.
right? In terms of licensing to regulation, we're also prepared, because one thing we have done as an organization is to build processes and systems in line with its financial services, even though we are not regulated, but we have structures that fit into the financial service, which means that, and you can see that the regulators, most of the regulations actually tend towards financial services kind of framework. So that means we're already prepared. We already have the systems, we already have the structures, right, ready and waiting for that framework to be rolled out. So for Yellow Card, we're prepared. We're always ahead of our competitors, right?
Yeah.
And just being leaders or being a leader in the market,
Yeah.
right?
To conclude, I know you also are prepared because I see a lot of ways and interesting things you are saying during this conversation. Just finally, what do you have to say, a closing remark, and what is it that made Yellow Card a leader in this industry when it comes to cryptocurrency exchange?
Okay. Thank you for that question. We didn't just claim to be a leader, right? We're actually the leader, right? And you can see this also, you can see this in our funding, the way we have structured our funding and how much we're able to raise. I am aware that no other exchange has raised the kind of or the volume of funds we have raised between 2019 to 2024. So if you add up all the funds we have raised, it's about $85 million, right? So no other exchange has done this. It's Yellow Card
In Africa.
in Africa, yes. And another thing is Yellow Card is a Pan-African company. We're not just focused on one country, we're focused on Africa. Yellow Card is in about 20 African countries. No other African exchange is in 20 African countries. So that's Yellow Card. So when we're saying we're the leader, we are the leader in this space, we have our facts, right? And we have proof to show that we're actually the leader. And another thing that sets us apart, right, is the products and services we do offer, right? We have built, it's as if we have built our world around stablecoin, right? And we're solving real life problem with stablecoin. We're not just an exchange where you buy and sell stablecoin. We're way beyond buying and selling stablecoin. We're solving real life problem with stablecoin, and another thing that also sets us apart, maybe I shouldn't miss this one, is our systems and our human capital, right?
Yeah.
Right from the top, you can see the calibers of people we have in the executive team, right? Most of them have worked in big organizations, not just in Africa, around the world, right? So we understand that you can have a vision, but if you don't have the human capital to drive that vision, it will be difficult for you to achieve your vision, right? So that is what we know, and we're ready for the world, right? And I think we're at the moment, Yellow Card is where we want to be, right? Even though we have a bigger dream and we're working towards that bigger dream.
Oh,
So
interesting. Thank you very
yeah,
much for this wonderful opportunity to have this conversation. We really appreciate. In case you just joining us, it's still Coin News Extra TV interview session. We are live at our Yellow Card office here in Lagos State, Nigeria, and it has really been an amazing conversation with Lasbury Choma Oludumi, who is the Vice President of Global Operations and Managing Director, Yellow Card Nigeria. It's a pleasure having you.
thank you so much.
Wow, it's a pleasure. Thank you very much.